Good evening. The time is now 6:36, and we will now reconvene into open session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So I will now entertain a motion for interdistrict transfers 1 through 29.
I move we approve inter-district transfers 1 through 29.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. During closed session, the Board of Trustees met and took action to approve entering into contract with the McCloskey Consultants to conduct a Phase 1 and Title V hazard study for $6,000. This action was approved by a vote of 4-0. One board member was absent. That is all we have to report out of closed session. We will now go ahead and we will move on to presentation. Introduction of new staff.
Okay, so one of our favorite meetings of the year, I guess they all are because we love our student presentations too, but we have a room filled with our new hires, many of our new hires tonight that we're excited to introduce. So site principals, you can come on up and get ready to introduce your new hires. That would be fantastic. And then we also, some of the directors, I'm not sure, we'll see if they're introduced at the site or if you'll be introducing them. Okay, so it looks like we're starting with Delray. Here we go. All right, we have a great new crop of teachers. We grew by 2 teachers this year by adding a transitional kindergarten class and an SDC class. So let me introduce them. We have Blanca Ramirez, please stand up, our new TK teacher. We have Emily Herrera and Amy Solis in kindergarten. We have Jaylene Abadinas joining us in our SDC class. And we brought on Alyssa Richardson teaching 5th grade. We're very happy with the progress we've made. It's been a transitional, right? 3 weeks, first 3 weeks of school, but it's going well. Thank you very much.
Good evening. So we are excited to introduce our new superstar staff for this year, and representing in the back row over here, we have successfully completed our first year with our DLI program at our site, and we are now adding 2 first grade classes to our program. So we're pleased to welcome our first grade DLI team, Esther Marino and Perla Alonso. We are also welcoming Karen Cuevas to our 2nd grade team, and Alex Medrano to our 4th grade team, but she had a prior engagement tonight and couldn't join us. And with those 2 both embarking on their first year as educators. And last but not least, to Mr. Terrence Pado, who joined us last spring. And he will continue to work in our amazing SDC program, teaching in combined class of 1st and 2nd grade. So welcome to our superstars.
Good evening. Shalom Peaks Middle School offered a couple of positions to fill this year, and we have some of the staff with us tonight. So first we have Emma Rubusius, who is an SDC teacher. And we have Cynthia Pangantihon, who is also an SDC teacher. Joining us tonight is Michael Blois, who we stole from Southern California, 7th grade history. And my mama heart, teacher heart, is super happy to welcome a former student to our 6th grade math and science, Miguel Zendejas. Not able to join us tonight is also Andrea Espino, former student as well. She is our 6th grade counselor this year. We also have Bernadette Cavey, who is our 7th and 8th grade history teacher. And then joining us as a teacher this year, but did some subbing for us, is Mercedes Para, who is our 8th grade English teacher, as well as someone coming, I think within the next couple of weeks, Mr. Daniels, next couple weeks, right? We have one more SDC teacher. Eva de los Santos will be here. Ms. Hambley is covering for her until she arrives. Thank you.
Okay, and Mrs. Pantaleon, do you have a new member of your team?
I do. I would like to introduce Audra Carr, Director of Curriculum. Just kidding. Behind me over here, we have our new ELD TOSA, Amy Bowen. We are super excited to add her to the team. She'll be working at the middle school and working very closely with Miss Reed and the admin team there. So thank you.
Before I go on to management, do we have any classified members that joined us this evening? We also have many new classified members of our team, but I'm not sure that we have any here this evening. Okay. We introduced them at our orientation day. And then, as you approved and met last spring, our 2 new directors here at the district office, we have Mrs. Audra Carr, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Accountability, and Ms. Pantaleon, Kristen Pantaleon, Director of Multilingual Education and Special Programs. Okay. Looking around, making sure we didn't forget anybody. All right. That will be it.
Welcome everyone to our family, and we wish everyone a successful year and look forward to working side by side, every one of you. We will now go ahead and move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda. We do have a public comment submitted. It's just a reminder for the audience that during public comment, we as a board don't respond back. It is how things are run. It's not because we don't want to respond back, but we just can't. So with that said, I'll go ahead and call Charlie Delgado.
Santa Lucia. We have a incident that happened last Friday, I think it was. First grade special student left the school and came all the way to Little Caesars. And we just want to see if there's any way that the safety could be a little bit better. And we have a kid there. His name is Santiago Delgado, and well, he's concerned. That's it. Thank you.
Is there any other members in the audience wishing to make a comment on today that's not on the agenda? Having no further public comment, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move on to the superintendent's report.
Hey, so good evening and welcome to the new school year. We've had a lot that has happened in just the last few weeks, and certainly since we all saw each other in June. We kicked things off at the end of July with getting ready for year 2 of our dual language immersion program at ATDLE. Kevin Chavez was here and led our staff in the morning, our teaching and our paraeducating staff, educator staff and our administrative staff on all things DLI and getting ready for the new year, including working with the staff to develop a tool that we will use when we visit their classroom throughout the year and provide feedback. So it was really great to be able to engage in that activity with both our teachers and our paraeducators. so that they had a voice in that process. And we look forward to continuing that work when they return, when Kevin returns in September, but obviously we visit classrooms and have a lot going on between his visits as well. We had our orientation with all of staff in August and kicked things off with a message from Consuelo Kickbush, provided a keynote for our staff, reminding all of us of the impact that we have on our students and families and the role that we play. And under the whole theme of being a superhero, that anyone in education is a superhero. There is, you ask any student, someone that had an impact on their life, and you never know who it's going to be, what position they held, or what year in school, but you're guaranteed that everyone in the system is a superhero to someone. So she reinforced that with some stories and some messages. Back to school nights, our elementaries the night before school started, middle school just last week, great attendance at all of our events, first days of school. Everyone's been talking about what a smooth start overall it really has been. We always have hiccups here and there, but overall it's been a very smooth start to the year. And when if you're able to visit the campuses, it doesn't feel like we're only finishing up the third week of school and not 3 full complete weeks either. The kids are right back into the routine, staff is right back into routine, so it's been a wonderful start to the year. We have construction still going on at KCAM. If you've driven by, you've seen the new buildings, and a couple days before school started, the KCAM staff, anyone that wanted to, was invited to take a tour of their new buildings. And so I know that administration and the site are excited for that. We're still on track for that move-in after winter break. We all understand that with construction, things can happen, but at the moment, we're still on track for that. We have more trainings coming up. It's that time of year. So you may hear about that certain staff are involved in different trainings depending on what it is. But we have training for staff that have changed grade levels on becoming more familiar with some of their materials. We have our work with MCOE that here is referred to as a PLN. That starts next Tuesday. And then Tuesday, September 2nd, we have our first full day staff professional development where it's not a school day for students. And on that day, staff will have roughly 2-hour sessions throughout the day that they will attend in their grade levels or grade level spans specific to them. You may have also heard this year, we have been transitioning to the online portal for parents with PowerSchool. This definitely doesn't come without hiccups, but lots of kudos to our liaisons, our office staff, Arlen, the registrar, Dr. Ruby, and numerous others I'm sure I'm forgetting that are helping parents learn how to log into PowerSchool, how to get their accounts set up so that they can access that information. It's something we've done at the middle school for quite a while, but we haven't throughout the district, as well as the fact that we moved to online registration this year. So this year, we're talking about getting every parent enrolled and up and moving. But if you think about future years, it'll only be our new students that are coming to us. So it's a very large task this year. But then going down the road certainly won't be as high in number. And we've also been having, of course, budget meetings. We're hearing everyone's hearing the headline, hearing the news stories, seeing the headlines about potential budget cuts and needing to tighten things up. So obviously, Joni and I have been in different meetings and webinars and looking at things. So Joni, I'm going to let you share a little bit about that.
All right, so we're going to touch on budget a little bit, but also outside of budget, I've been evaluating our departments in the district office and our classified staff, just to ensure that our staffing levels are appropriate. So before we get into what we need to do with the budget to make sure we're fiscally solvent for future years, we first need to make sure that our staffing levels are appropriate to support the district's needs. So I've been we're in the process of evaluating our multi-year projections and coming up with strategies to identify some reductions that we can make in the budget, and just taking into consideration some of the things that we're hearing with federal funds and potential reductions in state money as well. And taking all of that into consideration, although it seems counterintuitive what I'm going to say to you, bear with me for a minute. after having completed our analyzation of the MOTF department, I'm going to increase that, I'm going to recommend that we actually increase staffing for that department by 3 positions. And essentially what that's going to do is it's going to help us to support the demands of our facilities needs as our facilities actually grow. And it's going to help us to reduce our overtime costs. And it's also going to help us to reduce the needs of having to hire outside contractors and support services to support that department. So I'm cognizant that we need to budget conservatively, but I'm also, I take it very I have this responsibility that I take very seriously to make sure that we're providing the best services for all of our students, right? In order to do that, we need to make sure that all of our departments are staffed appropriately. So by making these changes and bringing on 3 new positions within that department, that it's going to help us to balance our long-term cost savings, essentially. So I'm bringing all of that up to you and sharing that with you now so that you can be aware that in September, at our September meeting, we're going to be bringing forward the approval to expand that department by 3 positions in our personnel reports that Wendy provides to you. So, it'd be custodial and groundskeeper, and we haven't exactly looked at we're still analyzing a bit like our current staff. Can we have them focus in some areas a little bit more and now hire the additional support in the other areas that we're alleviating? Or do we just leave everybody with their task loads exactly like they are, and then do we fill in with 2 custodians and hire 1 groundskeeper? So there's still a little bit more that we need to look at to decide exactly what the custodian and groundskeeper positions are going to look like. But we are going to be bringing them forward to you in the September meeting.
So obviously in September, that will also be an agenda item for more discussion. This was just putting it on your radar. The other piece, if you think about the fact that we're adding 6 new classrooms on a campus, then obviously we need to be analyzing the custodial staff to see if we have the current staff to meet the increasing need of classrooms.
Yeah.
So again, those pieces will be brought back as an agenda item next month for you. Not sure yet. I think it depends on what the entire study, it'd be great if it was ready for vote, although even if it's brought back to you for a vote that night, remember, you ultimately are determining whether or not you're ready to vote on something or not that night.
And that's already bringing into play where we're going to be at budget-wise and how it's going to work.
Great. The other piece is that you have in front of you, and I will come back to it when you reach board communications, but you do have a communication that was sent to us from our neighboring high school district requesting that we have a joint meeting so that we can discuss the potential of unification. So I assume when you get to your board communications that you'll come back to that piece. And hand in hand with that, as you'll remember, in June, you asked that we request a feasibility study focused on our district. The feasibility studies that were conducted were really primarily focused on the high school and Greenfield Union School District. Should Greenfield Union become Greenfield Unified? And so I did make that request to Dr. Gus at the county office. So Christy White, the independent auditor, and the attorney that's been involved in that process for them, she contracted with them to come conduct the feasibility study as we requested, focused on us. So when we're looking at advanced planning, I'm going to ask you about some dates here later in the meeting, about dates for conversations with Christy, and as well as she can have the report ready by our September board meeting. So we can spend at our September board meeting, we can discuss her report and have a presentation from both her and Marguerite for our district so that you can have the conversation, because you haven't really been able to have much of a conversation yet because we haven't had the information. So I know that we'll come back to this later in the meeting. Our Unity Conference is 3 weeks from tomorrow, so there are 3 of you and myself that will be attending the Unity Conference with the California Latino School Boards Association. So we'll be reaching out as well to schedule some carpooling in preparation for that here in California. And then finally, as always, the pitch. If you know of anyone that's interested in being on the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, please direct them to our website so that they can apply for that. And that is all I have for tonight. You have your activities. Lots of activities starting to roll in for the year. That is all.
Any questions or comments from the audience or the board? Having none, we'll go ahead and move on to reports from administrators. Board members, is there any questions or comments?
I have a couple of questions. My first one's for MOTF, John. On your report, it's been ongoing that you guys are still working for a process for vehicle use. Do we have a timeline more or less when that might be? Because I know that we had talked about, or I had stated something in the scene, if there's any leeway to use them for somewhat of a transportation for our sports department, for probably not all students, but at least for some. So do we have any timeline on when we'll know what the vehicle usage is allowed and what isn't allowed? Okay, so then right now it's just a waiting game until we hear back and get clarification. Thank you. And then the other one is for Mr. Daniel. So hearing all the new staff and all that, so we're fully staffed within our SPED department. And that should drop down cases and all that from our current staffing to get them where we need. And then I also saw on our events that there's a paraeducator training. Does that include the special ed paras, or is it just their general for September 3rd? Okay, so and those would help. I mean, it's for everybody, or is it specific for SPED? Do we know? For SPED, severe needs and classroom, RSP ones. Okay, so those should be good, since I know that they do a lot of push-in services right now. So trying to get them up to where they need to be. And then Dr. Ruby's not here, I believe, right? Oh, yes, she is. So do we know if our program is full, or do we have a waiting list? Okay, yeah, because I know that since I believe last spring we were talking when we had our LCAP that we were going to be working on the waiting list and not having a waiting list because I mean, a lot of parents are, and since I guess we have the yellow funds to be able to support that. And is there any way in well, it might be for you guys to get some type of presentation from them, like how you know how we have our student presentations or some type of presentation from Pro Youth? Perhaps not from all their staff, just since some of them are hourly, but perhaps like the area manager who's more, like just an overview of what their program, what they consist of, what their numbers are, and what their waiting list looks like. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Terry?
No, I do not have any questions. I know. It'll only be for tonight. I'm trying to cut him off a break. It's the first meeting.
That's fair. Is there any administrators or anyone out in the audience that'd like to share anything since these reports were submitted? No? All right, moving on. We'll now go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like to have discussed separately? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I move we approve tonight's consent agenda as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to our information item. Our first item is CSBA Board Policy Updates, first reading.
So you have attached there the first reading, which means next month it's brought back for your second reading and vote of numerous policies, as is typical at this time of year. And again, numerous that are based on recent legislation. So, and there's some that as you read through these, you'll see that they're kind of all tied together. There are several related to Title IX. So regulations have changed once again in regards to Title IX. So that kind of trickles through several different spots within our board policies. So they're there for you to read through, asking questions you might have. You will see that we are beginning to get things from CSBA in the area of artificial intelligence, but it's not very in-depth yet. It's kind of some entry-level pieces, but it's a good start, good things for us to have in place as we as a district continue to look at that, and as a state, as they will continue to send us new updates and proposed language. If you have any questions, we're happy to address them.
Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Moving on to our second information item, summer ELOP presentations.
So we're very pleased tonight that, yes, our new, and I didn't introduce you, Patty, earlier. Dr. Ruby, we forgot Patty. Patty's been with us a while, so correct. So at the end of last year, Patty was promoted to the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Supervisor position. And she kicked that off by coming to Cinda and saying, "Can I do a presentation on the things they did this summer for ELOP?" We said, yes, of course. So Patty and Dr. Ruby are here to share.
I'm just here for moral support. Yes. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Patty Vasquez. I am the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program Supervisor, also known as ELOP. I'm excited to share with you the program we were able to provide for the children in our community this summer. This year, we successfully ran 4 different programs simultaneously, giving students a safe and fun opportunity throughout the summer. I'd like to also extend a special thank you to our food service team who made it possible for every child in this programs to enjoy both breakfast and lunch every day. The MOTF department for always ensuring that the cafeterias and classrooms were clean and ready for students, and our nurses for carefully reviewing student files and making sure that all necessary medication is in the right program for the child's needs. Sean's gonna make me look good today, okay? Our summer camp took place in San Lucie Elementary and Shalom Peaks Middle School from June 10th to June 30th, running daily from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. At San Lucia, we had 16 different classes, and Shalom Peaks, we had 11 different classes. Each class included an academic intervention in math or reading paired with enrichment activities. Here is a short reel showcasing some of the exciting classroom experience our students. While running our camps, our summer camp we were also running Pro Youth and the Migrant Education Program at the same time. You would either be able to start at 8 a.m. or transition at 12 p.m. after summer camp. Both programs were offered at San Lucia and Shalom Peaks. Here is a few pictures of what they did at Pro Youth. And then here is a little more that they did, activities they did at the migrant program. This summer, we had launched a brand new partnership with First Tee. The program ran from June 9th through August 1st from 7:45 a.m. to 5:15 p.m. The focus of First Tee was helping students enjoy their summer through fun activity learning experience. Each day began at the Salinas Valley Fairgrounds with breakfast, after which students split into 3 groups and rotated to different community sites. This included the King City Recreational Department, CPMS Strength and Performance with Mr. Rocha while summer camp was running, the local golf course, or they stayed at the fairgrounds for sports and games. The program was possible thanks to several strong partnerships with the local businesses and organizations. Here is a short film to showcase all the activities the students had. So overall this summer, this summer was filled with meaningful learning, enrichment, and fun for our students. I'm proud of the teamwork across our school staff, our community partners that made this program such a success. Thank you for our support in making it possible for us to provide this opportunity for our children and giving them a safe place this summer. That's it. That's all I got.
I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I did say I wouldn't ask, no, okay, well. This is great. Obviously, we want our kids to be active throughout the summer as well. My question is though, are we still continuing to look into the music side of the house and in regards to instruments, guitar, anything like that? Have we searched and seen if there was anybody willing to provide that type of service, and where are we with that?
We are in the process of actually starting our ELOP programs right now for our after school. We do have a few teachers who have applied to do some sort of guitar lessons or beginner guitar things that I've seen. I don't know if we've had any other.
Last year, we did have our music teachers as a part. We had Mr. Contreras, who was doing mariachi. And I've heard that he's wanting to do it again this year, but I have not seen his application come through yet. And then we do have Mr. Lopez at Shalom Peaks who wants to continue, and he has more students interested in his guitar class after school. So that's currently where we're at. If teachers want to teach music, we are more than happy to purchase the instruments and have that be something that they can do. We haven't had a lot of interest, just those two teachers.
Has it been put out though to parents? And because I know, no offense to our local organizations, but I know there's some organizations that do charge, like let's say for an hour of guitar lessons and et cetera. Are we putting it out there for parents though? It's like, if your child is interested, we would provide the instrument for them. So that way they won't have to worry about there will be a fee or a cost associated with it.
So this year, because of Patty and Violetta having dedicated ELOP people, we are able to put it out to parents so that they can actually enroll their children and sign up for the classes. So we will have, what the classes that are being offered, and they can sign them up. It's a good idea for us, actually, you're right, next to the guitar classes, to make sure that we do state that the instruments are provided, so that nobody misses out thinking that they have to bring their own. We can definitely make sure that that's noted.
And then I also have a question for you guys. So I've been hearing a lot about the adventure clubs from last school year. So I know those will be coming back. One of my questions is, do those students rotate to a different club? Because I know some of them have been to Disneyland, and it seems, rumor was that it was always the same students going over and over. So is there some type of rotation for students, or how are they dispersed into different clubs?
Well, with the open enrollment this year, we're having it a little bit different. It's being offered to all students, as it was. And we will have the applications to go out, and we will, I guess, be selecting students to be able to go into those clubs. I know that they will be a lot of changes to the adventure clubs as it is. I know that we are changing the structures.
Yes, so we have notified all staff that field trips will be changing. I am requesting an educational kind of plan for every field trip that anyone will be going on, to state how it ties into the educational value of the club. ELOP clearly states that field trips are not to be for entertainment purposes, so there needs to be that component. You mentioned Disneyland. The reason that Disneyland was an option last year was because there are classes that you take, and there's learning you can do building up to those classes. But Disney is a bit far, and so we do have this year a 15-hour max. So field trips have to be minimum of 9 hours, maximum of 15. And as far as the kids that get put in the clubs, like I said, we're doing now where parents enroll their students. So it's not going to be just teachers handing out the enrollment sheets. It's going to be put on Parent Square. There will be paper copies in the office so that parents can sign up that way with a QR code, or they can just sign up on the form and then it gets sent to us, and we get them signed up. So it is a little more equitable to everyone, so we can ensure that all of our students have access to all of the clubs within their grade span.
And how long do each club?
Well, the adventure club that we've seen come through with the applications, they are doing from when we open it up coming up soon to Christmas break. And then when we come back from Christmas break till the end of May, because June gets really chaotic. And so we're just kind of trying to get them to focus on finishing the year. And so it's just, we're doing 2 quarters, first half, and then when we come back, the second half. And so there'd be new students.
On the second half?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
For some are using the same, they're having the same students for the whole year, just based on the club. So not all clubs are going to be cutting the students.
But so now that you said that someone will have them for the full school year, so but would those actually be taking multiple trips to the same spot, or would they vary from? More than anything, it was just, you know, giving everybody the opportunity to.
Correct.
Because I mean, we have a lot of our low-income students who can't travel to a theme park, and so if we can give them that opportunity here as a district, I mean, I just want you know it to be equitable for everybody across the.
And so that's why we're now, parents can sign their kids up versus just somebody handing out to whoever walks up to my door.
Oh, okay.
We'll push it out on Parent Square. We'll send flyers home with kids so that everyone is aware of what's happening and they can sign the kids up.
Thank you.
Sorry, last question. Well, maybe. I'm not sure who can answer in regards to this. I know that some of our teachers are ones that volunteer their time and they could be part of the ELOP to provide these type of classes. And of course, our teachers go through the process of live scanning and all that as part of their requirements. If we do have a parent or someone outside who would like to be a part of ELOP to volunteer, is that a requirement that we have for them as well?
No, it is only staff that is able to do it. And it's the same thing, like when they're going to field trips, it is only staff, no parents. And that would be a whole safety concern.
Because we had talked about if parents had, yeah, okay, so right now we're just strictly to our staff that we have.
Yes, and that can be across the board, any of our staff. Yes, they can both apply. This year, we actually have 5 classified who are wanting,
Running classes.
we're actually running their own program this year compared to last year where we didn't have any. One more? Okay.
Wait, from her.
But not from me, but if no one else, because we also have a parent.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Last year, my son wasn't able to get to the reading club, and then the teacher did let us know that he would be able to try the second one, but I guess there was no space, so I tried to push him to do another one, but unfortunately, he just wanted to do reading club, and he wasn't able to get in there because there was no space.
So there's a 20-to-1 ratio that we have to follow. So if we have more than one teacher, or more than one adult, we can add more than 20 kids. But if we don't, then it's 20 only. And so we are working to push those capacities this year and make sure that we are getting to that 20. And then if we're able to secure another staff member, then going over that number, just depending on staffing and who we have available. We wouldn't know unless a parent reached out and told us that they weren't able to get in because we didn't have the electronic enrollment last year. So now with the electronic enrollment, we can track those things.
I wanted to jump in and clarify because I know that not everyone in the room is familiar with the ins and outs of the ELOP. But because we spoke earlier this evening about budget, I just wanted to clarify that in the state of California, the state legislature determined that these would the ELOP programs would be available for students. So it is a completely separate funded program. This is not something that is, when we're looking at our budget, that is not a program that is impacted because it has its own funding source from the state, providing us the ability to do these things for students, both in the staffing of it as well as what we're able to do, and then also with lots of guidelines that Dr. Ruby's referring to, such as the limitations on the number of students or requirement of number of adults. So it's something that's providing us the opportunity to do fantastic things for students, but it is completely separate.
Well, I want to know who authorized that whole 49er, because I was a fan of this up until that slide. So.
I forgot to tell you that.
Oh.
Your reaction was not to the students. That was a very short student.
I should have known better. I didn't catch that until it was on the screen.
So I'm gonna pretend that I didn't see that, even though I did.
I've only been here for a short time.
And that's why
I
I'm gonna,
mean,
and that's why I'm gonna just pretend. Just went under the radar.
it's my first board meeting and my first presentation.
And she volunteered for it.
And you set her up for it right now.
It was an accident.
No, but I just want to welcome you to the role and say that I look forward to watching you grow within the role itself and also the program. So I look forward to hearing more of what you are doing with the program and our students.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now go ahead and move, oh. Oh. No, go ahead.
She's following my directions, and please be at the podium and ready.
All right, we will now go on to action items. Our first action item is notice of public hearing. Time is 7:23. William, sufficiency of instruction materials.
So Mrs. Carr is here for her first official item, which of course is the Williams Act that you're familiar with. But we will open our public hearing.
So this is my first time doing this, so please bear with me, and good evening to all of you. At this time, we are compliant as far as our instructional materials go, because we do have digital access. So there are some things that have not come in yet workbook-wise, but the students all have access digitally to suffice until then. So I have been in communication with Monterey County, and the digital access is sufficient for being in compliance.
Okay, it's now 7:24. The hearing is now closed, and we will move on to the voting portion of this action item B.
I move we approve action item B, approval of resolution 2025-2601, sufficiency of instructional materials.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and move on to action item C, approval of 45-day revised budget.
So the state requires us to, when the governor signs the Budget Act in June, if there's anything substantial that has changed since the May revise, when we bring you the original budget, that we present to you a revision within 45 days of when that was signed by the governor. So we weren't really required to bring anything to you this year, but we did have some changes, so we wanted to point that out to you. Essentially, our changes are that there are a couple of revenue that are included with the trailer bills and the State Budget Act that was not finalized at May revise. And Betty increased our revenue by the amounts of those two things. One is a Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant that we are getting back that they took away from us for not spending all in 21, 22. And the other one is this new block grant that is Student and Professional Development Discretionary Block Grant. They named it Student and Professional Development because they thought that would be a good idea for you guys to use it for, but it's discretionary, so you can really use it for whatever you want. And we have already found ways to use it. So essentially, with those two changes on the second page of that, you do see the side-by-side comparison of what that looks like of the adopted budget to this 45-day revision. And with that increased restricted column that you see on the blue right-hand side, it brings our total projected ending fund balance from previously projected 22.8 million to 23.8 million, so increase of that 1 million there. And essentially, what we are looking for, we're recommending that the board approve this 45-day revision.
Any questions or comments from the board or audience? Having none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I move we approve action item C, approval of 45-day revised budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to action item D, approval of resolution 2025-26. 02, authorization to request an exemption from the 180 calendar day separation from service requirements for Patricia Judd for the position of mentor support provider for intern, pre-intern induction support from CalSTRS. Any questions or comments from the board or audience? No, bring it back to the board for a motion.
Action item D, approve resolution 2025-26-02.
Aye. Moving on to action item E, approval of award of bid for the RFP copier MFD printer software, whatever that is.
So a couple of months ago, I don't know if you remember, Sean came up and gave a wonderful presentation about having an analysis done of our copier and photocopy machines and stuff like that. And that what we were looking for at that time was to be able to go out to bid or have a call for bids to see if it would be cost effective for us to change vendors for our copy machines, or what kind of services are there out there for us. Well, that has completed, and we did have a call for bids, and Sean, Betty, and I have had a couple of meetings with Optimizon, who the company that we went with to help us go through this bidding process, and they guided us through that a bit. And so essentially, the decision that we all kind of came to together, agreement, was to stay with Dataflow, who is our current vendor. And fortunately, they're able to expand our services. We're looking at doing on-demand printing, which essentially is you can be at your computer and you can say, I want to print, and it doesn't actually print. It holds it in a queue anywhere in the district. So if I need to go to KCAM, I could walk up to a photocopy machine, punch my code in, say I want to print this thing that I wanted to print. It'll print right there on demand. You can save that in your queue and go to another school site and print from there as well, or you can clear your queue and not have that in there anymore. So that's something that we currently can't do. So I don't know how long ago, but there was a decision made to buy some printers that, for confidentiality reasons. So we've got various printers throughout the district that are in locations that, because I have something that I need to print that's sensitive, I'll print it to this printer and not to the photocopy machine, which is less expensive to run print jobs on a photocopy machine and to maintain as well. So with the decreased cost of a contract, which we're getting from data flow, and the additional services, the total amount for the entire contract would be $105,000 if we go with this with data flow. And that equals $37,000 savings every single year of the contract. And so our recommendation is that the board award bid of this RFP to data flow.
Any questions or comments from the members of the audience or board? Having none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move we approve action item E, approval of award of bid for the RFP copier MFD printer software.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Action item F, approval of addendum number 3 to the superintendent's employment agreement.
So as you said, this is addendum number 3. You've had a similar item presented to you that you've approved each year. The difference on this one is in this particular addendum for this year, it is only an extension of my contract by 1 year. There is no additional salary increase included in this one as there had been in previous years. So I'm requesting approval of amending the contract as presented, which would make it a contract from now through, I should know this off the top of my head, June 30th, 2029.
Is there any questions or comments from the audience or board? Okay, having none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Action item F, approval of the addendum number 3 to the
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now for the fun discussion. Board member communications. Do you want to lead this discussion?
Whatever you want to start with. I don't know if you want to start with that or end with that among your
You guys want to start with
communications.
this, or do you guys want to
Let's end with that.
Okay.
So just on the communication on my part, I had the opportunity to visit CPMS, their back to school night. It was nice being out there. There was a lot of parents. You saw a lot of happy faces. I stopped in different classrooms. I don't know everybody's name. There's a lot of new staff, but it seemed very well organized. The PA system went off, but I mean, Mrs. Reed was talking in Spanish through the PA system, but it was a nice, it was a nice event. I also had the opportunity to stop by today's Cafecito with Teresita. She did awesome. It was a very well attended, so good to see what's going on our campuses.
Okay, for my part, I just wanted to reiterate and just reminder for everyone. I had mentioned this before, but I just want to do a refresher since we're starting a new school year. Whenever we do have public comments, of course, we cannot answer at the time that it's being discussed, but if it affects your school site, I did a request that with the next school board meeting, that it would be in your reports. I'm not sure if y'all remember that, but I'm reading it again. So if it affects your school site, please make sure that however you addressed the concern in your school site is brought forth in your report. We would like to know, at least I would like to know, what was the follow-up in regards to that incident or concern for that parent or the one who spoke. That was number one. Number two, the Raptor system. If somebody can also refresh my memory on that. When somebody goes in the first time, I mean, you have to present your ID, et cetera, so you can get your sticker, your visitor pass. Does that system, let's say I would get arrested tomorrow, if I were to go back to the school or if I had that history, like sex registry, whatever it may be, does it track that pretty quickly, or do we know the turnaround time? Right.
Now, if, say, tomorrow morning you went before a judge, you're found guilty, you are now, on the sex offenders list, or, one of the numerous, like NCIS, or, numerous databases, the system by itself will do a database search every day to update you. The only reason, that's why it takes so long for that initial, drop the car, come back up, is because it's doing that initial database. After that, it's literally just doing a quick scan for, major crimes or drug offenses. But it does constantly check that, so that way it speeds up the process on our side versus.
So when the person checks in, that's already a given that the system will do as it want to check in. It's not something that the clerk has to click to
No,
do that. It'll automatically do it.
as long as, so there's always been a caveat with the system, is you have to have. But yes, it does continuously check against all the different databases.
But they should be IDing every time. Okay. How does it work, again, refresh my memory, how does it work for those that do not have a state or federal ID? I know that was a caveat we had last time, like I just can't remember what it was.
That'll always be a caveat because, again, it has to be a state or federal ID for 100% to happen. If you, for example, someone showed up with a passport, that's not.
Okay, thank you. No more questions for me. Stop, us. I mean, no, I'm good. It's the first meeting.
All right. Any other communications before we move on to another subject? No? 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 Okay. So apparently, we've been invited to do a joint meeting with our high school, and it's in regards to the unification discussion. So let's communicate. Any communication from you guys? You guys have read the letter? Okay. So they're asking for us to meet with them and to have a joint meeting, ideally sometime, I believe they said October, November?
September, October, before the November
Okay.
meeting that they have.
So I would probably lean towards the October, since on September, we're having our findings report. I will say that I've been very cordial with my communication about the matters, and I don't find myself to be that cordial at that meeting, considering my humble opinion of, I'm still waiting for the discussion of how this is gonna be for students, because all I've heard about from either of the meetings that have already occurred have been adult needs. So I'm looking forward to some real discussion about how this is going to impact students. So I just want to give my fellow board members a heads up that I will be addressing all concerns at all levels with the other boards and districts. So looking at the dates, and I'm just gonna kind of have to tie these dates into this communication. We clearly have to pick dates that you're gonna provide to us for the September meeting for the findings, or are we doing that?
Correct. We are assuming that in September, it would be an information item on our regular September agenda versus an additional meeting. And then this joint board meeting would be would then obviously be October, because we need to have the time to have our own presentation and our own discussions around that first before the joint meeting. For the joint meeting, I do have a proposed date, because obviously we want those that have all the background in this, meaning the independent auditor, the attorney, and of course our county office. And so we have coordinated dates to a date to propose to see if it works for all of you. We don't have other, we looked at what's typically in September. We do not have other hefty items on the agenda that night. And so we do think that we could have that discussion that night, but it's going to depend on how many questions we have.
I think we're
as a board.
also assuming that the other districts involved won't participate in that meeting. So considering who in attendance will be there and will participate with questions and comments, we might be looking at a lengthy September meeting. And I'm just gonna throw that out there because we were cordial, we went, we listened. And I'm not saying that they won't be cordial by asking questions or participating, but I am saying that considering that we're looking at possible, community members and parents plus staff, and then plus, the other district guests. So I just would say, one, let's assure that we inform our parents and our community and staff of this meeting and give them the opportunity to participate and attend. I feel like we owe it to them to be as transparent as we can be. So I would encourage participation throughout King City. And then with that, I would also say we should probably consider what that meeting might look like, because if that's not gonna be a lengthy meeting, I know that we're going into a joint meeting. So just things to consider, my opinion. But what do you guys think?
So do you think the best bet would be for us to do a study session and do a separate meeting in September just for that? Because you are right, once we put our parents, obviously, the invitation out there, we don't know how lengthy the questions will be and comments back and forth, so.
My concern will be the availability of the auditor and the attorney, because they're assuming our September board meeting. Because obviously, things have to be planned quite a ways in advance for dates being held. So if we walk away tonight with a different date for our presentation, I do not know tonight if they're available. I do know they're available at our September meeting.
Is there anything that we can move from our September meeting to a later date?
Correct.
I don't get here until 6:30 almost, and I really want to be part of this from the start.
So it wasn't discussed at all, though, for like a secondary option for September? It wasn't discussed at all with the group?
I had no idea where to go with dates for September.
Right, but, or just asking them if, if we already have our board meetings scheduled, but if there would be another date, what would work for you? So it's just that conversation wasn't had.
It almost feels like we're being pushed into things, doesn't it? And it's just interesting that we're entertaining all of this discussion, even though we've just discussed finances and what the future health of the funding and state and federal and all that good stuff looks like. But what are we thinking?
It's gonna be a long meeting, Starbucks coffee, some snacks. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot of questions and comments addressed at that time.
Just a quick question. I know that what we were looking at is that for our September meeting, adding positions for MOTF, but are we looking at something else that might affect the budget that might cause our meeting to go a little bit more lengthier than usual?
We'll be bringing to you our unaudited actuals, which is essentially the closing of the books for our prior fiscal year. At this time, I don't anticipate any other changes outside of what that I shared with you tonight for our 45-day revise. There's been nothing kind of grumblings that we can expect further reductions at this point in time. So, I mean, right now, things look pretty stable, and there's never a promise for the future, but we don't have anything out of the ordinary or big surprises coming to you in September.
I mean, we can even do things like, I mean, I know they're simple and quick items, but we can move the second reading of board policies. That can be rolled to October. I'm just taking a peek at last year's September agenda to see what's traditionally always on. The GAN limit, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Jennifer, do you want to check in with the auditors?
Well, I have a meeting at the county office tomorrow already. It's our regular monthly meeting, so I can propose other dates. I just, again, I don't know what the availability is. I can ask, but it's multiple calendars, so we could very well. And if that date, if we propose other dates, then I'm not coming back to you until September 17th with, okay, how about this date? We don't have a meeting between now and September 17th. You know, yes, we could set a meeting. I mean, if you, depends how you direct me this evening. But I do not see a lot of other items on the agenda that night.
It shouldn't be this hard. So we want to be part of this discussion, but we don't want to be told about how we're going to participate. So I would say check in with them tomorrow, get back to us. Let's think of a plan B, worst case scenario. I guess we're going to be looking at a long meeting, not the ideal meeting. Moving forward, as we move with this, let's put our community first as we move. So that means that we're going to be moving and setting dates and accommodating our community, our parents, our staff, our people that are going to be impacted by this conversation. Right now, it doesn't really feel like we're having that option. It's pretty much being pushed into a corner. Not that I'm not gonna push my way out of the corner, still being cordial, I guess you can say. But I will say that we want to be part of the decision-making, not just told, this is the decision.
So this one would be on me then, because when we were trying to select the dates for the visit, which is next week, of when the auditor will be here to meet with any of us that want to have a conversation with her. And when we were looking at, okay, what do we know as availability that we have that for a joint board meeting in October, as we were coordinating all those things, I'm the one that said, we have a meeting on September 17th. Are you able to have this pulled together that quick? So that one is not them pushing on us. That one is my fault.
Right, in September?
No.
Would we be able to flip-flop and be whatever our regular board meeting be? Can we do that when our study session would have been, and then leave the 17th ideally for that meeting?
You're gonna have to do a resolution
Yeah.
before then, so you're gonna have to
Yeah.
have another special board
Right.
meeting, do a resolution to change your schedule.
But we
Right.
only need a
Also,
quorum. We only
for-
need a quorum for that, right? So
For
three
the
of us can show up to.
We do have to have the unaudited actuals on the 17th. We cannot change that. And it can't be at a special board meeting. It has to be at a regular board meeting.
Right. The other piece is, and I know we have all talked about whether we felt like we were drug into this conversation. It wasn't something we chose to be a part of, but in the end, you guys are the voice of what do you want to do as a board? Where are you at the moment and what you're wanting to do as a board? So it doesn't matter what the conversation back and forth is with the high school district or with anyone else, because you, as the governing board for this district, are making the decision for this district. You can't be forced into that piece. And this meeting, it's an information item, so it's discussion. You're not being asked to vote or decide on anything. And then at the joint board meeting, that's that opportunity for the two boards to have the discussion about all of this. But again, there's no action out of that meeting. It's the conversation that has to be in public. Mhm. Correct. Yes, no, I agree that this is not a short conversation, but it just to the, again, this one I cannot lay the blame on the assumption of September 17th is on me. That one is not on other entities coming in and saying, we want this date.
Okay, so do we all agree to have a separate meeting specifically on this? We're all on the same page on that, and that way Jennifer can then ask for tomorrow for other available dates.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is if you can try to come up with other dates.
Right.
That would be the preferred choice, and if not, we will prepare for September 17th.
So the other dates, I'm assuming, would be after the 17th, because that was a quick turnaround on the feasibility study coming back to us. So what dates between the 18th and I know that the auditor was not available on October 1st. That I did already know. So what other dates in September are all of you available? What dates? There's no sense in, I might as well know what our limitations are before I then find out if it works for the others. Right.
If you let me know early enough, I can cancel whatever I have on some of the pieces that I have. I'm willing to move my schedule around.
So September 23rd and September 30th? Those are both Tuesdays after, because I'm looking after the 17th.
Right, and if you pick any other day, it would just have to be.
Right. Right.
I'm okay for the 23rd or 30th, but I cannot do 5:15. It would have to be 5:30 for me.
On both those dates?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's, of course, possibly trickling in around 5:30.
If Wednesday, the 24th is a date that works for them, is that a date that works for everyone, but at our 6:30 time, correct? Okay. Correct, yeah, this is our meeting for our presentation. I do have the proposed date where I already know where the attorney, the auditor, myself, Dr. Gus, and the high school superintendent, our availability in October because they were all available, but I was not willing to go with fall break because I didn't feel that was fair to our staff who is off on fall break. And then we have our own board meeting the week after fall break on the Wednesday. And so Tuesday, the 14th, was a day that was available for all of the parties, with the exception of knowing your availability yet. That would be for the joint meeting, Tuesday, October 14th. The next night would be our regular board meeting. 14th. Okay. Pardon me? Yeah, if that works for everyone, we can plan on that one now, October 14th. Do you know how soon prior, how many weeks forward, you know availability? What, okay. So September 17th, if you don't find something out sooner on your scheduling, September 17th, you might know that's still almost a month out for us to try and recoordinate again. Okay. And if not, we'll just keep going. Okay. So Tuesday, October 14th at 5:30, that would be the joint meeting. One of the things that Dr. Coda and I brought up was we are assuming for this joint board meeting that we will probably want a location that's not either district, both for both space and the perception of the conversation and where either side is coming from. I also don't want to assume that everyone at the high school is actually a proponent of this possibility either. We haven't had that conversation. We don't know. But I understand the need to have a very public conversation about this. But again, in the end, you are making your decisions as the members of our board. It is not anyone else's decision. For
With
the
that-
September dates, I'm going to be checking into the 23rd or the 30th. I believe it sounded like those were the preference, the Tuesdays. Then followed by the 24th. And then the final piece is if we have to keep it on the 17th, keeping it on the 17th. Correct?
Yes, and then also when you mentioned right now, like the facility, the joint facility, can we also make sure that when we provide translation, it's not by any district?
Oh, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember last time that.
Yeah, no, that, excellent, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if the county office has an interpreter they could bring, or are we preferring that it's just not even a county office employee? It is.
Probably just not even county, yeah, outside agency.
Okay. Yep, good call, thank you. The other piece on this, so on Monday and Tuesday next week, the auditor, Christy White, will be here to ask questions and then hear our questions for this feasibility study. She is if the name sounds familiar, yes, she also happens to be the audit firm that we started using last year for our district audit. The county office is who has hired the independent auditors and the attorneys under this whole unification study piece. So yes, there is the coincidence, again, if that name sounds familiar. But she will be here in district on Monday and Tuesday, and I have a time schedule that I'm putting together. She will be meeting with the directors of classified and certificated so that we can all ask our questions. She will have some canned questions. She has 8 or 9 different areas. If you remember the feasibility study conducted before and the report that came out, it was categorized in different areas that were looked at. But again, we want to bring any questions we might have, things we're wondering about. She may not be able to answer them. They may be more appropriate for the attorney. She can pass those along. They may be questions that we have to, send to them, and then they are trying to find the answer in preparation for our meeting. But that is the purpose of next week, is to try and answer as much as she can and gather the information needed for her feasibility study. She will be meeting with the directors from our time slot. It may not take the whole time, but we have the 10 to 12 time slot on Monday. And then she's meeting with representatives of KCETA and CSEA at 3 o'clock on Monday. And then on Tuesday, she'll be meeting, Vina and I were able to discuss this when we had the agenda overview so that I could schedule a time in. So she'll be meeting with Vina on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Obviously, she can't meet with all of you together. That would not be allowed. But we have plenty of time. I have left the rest of that open so that if you want to have appointments with her for your own discussion, I can put that in. So we have Monday. We're looking at anything between 8:30 and 2:30. Well, actually 8:30 and 3 o'clock with the exception of 10 to 12. So if any of you want to come in between 8:30 and 10, or between 12 and 3, or you have all Tuesday morning until she then meets with Vina. So didn't know if you had an interest or if you want to send all your questions through Vina, you could do that as well. Right, you're the 26th. Okay. Okay. Oh, and you know what? I'm thinking, I bet on Monday, if you needed to come back after you're done with work, because I know you don't have quite as much of the flexibility, I bet she could meet with you after the 4:30 time, if you were interested as well. Okay. So Cinda can reach back out to you, obviously going into the weekend because this is Monday morning when we're getting started. and then we can fill in the spots. That same opportunity is going out to others that may want to come back, also with the directors. We're meeting as a group, but then if anyone has any, I forgot about this, I want to come ask this, or I didn't really want to ask this in front of all 12, 15, 20 people, we will have some time spots in for kind of popping in. You ran and got the other calendar. That is why I finally transitioned to electronic. Okay, so Cinda will connect back with you by the time we go into the weekend. Earlier is fine as well, but if she's hounding you going into the end of Friday, that's why, so that we can fill in these spots. I don't know if you have other questions? I know we'll have plenty when we have our report.
So with that, we just discussed most of our advanced planning with us waiting for those other dates to be approved. That does put us to our regular board meeting happening September 17th. And the other dates will be posted as they come. So now entertain a motion for adjournment. All in favor?
Have a good night, everyone.